dawn breaks over the summit of Mount Sinai. After 8,000 years at the heart of history, pilgrims gaze over the rugged mountains of the Sinai Peninsula. It is here that Moses is said to have received the Ten Commandments. From space, the 61,000 square kilometre Sinai Peninsula is one of Earth's most distinctive landmarks. The St. Katherine's Protectorate spans 4,320 square kilometres, virtually encompassing the entire high mountain area of South Sinai. This is the peninsula's most diverse region, with elevations ranging between 1,500 and 2,665 metres, providing a climate in which a wide variety of plants and animals can thrive. The Sinai constitutes a geological and cultural bridge between Africa and Eurasia. Evidence of human occupation in and around Sinai dates from the Paleolithic Stone Age, more than 500,000 years ago. Remnants of Bronze Age villages stand witness to an ancient past. The Noames, nearly 7,000 years old, are amongst the oldest roof buildings known to exist. Pharaohs sent mining expeditions into Sinai and built a temple here for Hathor, the Egyptian goddess favoured as protector in desert regions. In Igres Safha, ancient dwellings from the Nabatean period. Sinai is a magical and sacred land, a point of convergence for three great religions. The monastery of St. Katherine's is the oldest Christian monastery with a history of continuous occupation. Other sites, such as Nabi Saleh and Sheikh Mesen, date back to the early Islamic period. Today, 7 distinct Bedouin tribes inhabit the Protectorate, in and around the town of St. Catherine. They are a conservative people with a rich culture and a famous reputation for hospitality, who possess a profound knowledge of their land. One group, the Jebeleya, has played an integral part in the life of the monastery since its inception. Today's Jebeleya are the descendants of people sent from the Balkans by the Emperor Justinian in the 6th century to build and defend the monastery. Over the centuries, the monks and the Jebeleya have maintained a deep, mutually beneficial relationship. The blend and profusion of colours in the geology hints at the complex, often violent, evolution of the landscape. Relatively young rocks sit incongruously next to some of the world's oldest rock formations. Granitic and volcanic material dating back 1 billion years. Amongst the peaks created during the relatively recent Miocene epoch are some of the highest. Mount Katherine at 2,665 metres, and the famous Mount Sinai. Neighbouring Ras Safa is more ancient, composed of old pink granites formed some 580 million years ago. Dark veins or dikes, such as this one, above the Protectorate's visitor centre, are intrusions of volcanic rock into rock fractures and along lines of weakness. These cliffs and peaks belong to the ibex, perfectly adapted to this mountainous terrain, and also to less obvious inhabitants, like Burton's carpet viper, a venomous snake, beautifully camouflaged against its rocky habitat. At Wadi Firan, the site of an ancient lake, this playa is all that remains of the now desiccated lake bed. Around the monastery, some 1,600 meters above sea level, temperatures in July and August average 30 degrees centigrade. Atop Mount Katherine, high altitudes moderate the heat considerably. Summer is the best time to see reptiles, such as the Sinai agama, one of the Protectorate's distinctive inhabitants. The Egyptian dab is the Protectorate's largest lizard, found in its wide vegetated wadis. A close relative, the ornate dab, is more flamboyant and prefers to inhabit rocky cliff faces. The Jebelaya refer to winter as the time when nothing moves. Winters here are very cold, with temperatures frequently dropping below freezing, and snow accumulating at higher elevations. Above 2,000 meters, all wild perennial plants, except the ephedra, lose their leaves. Bedouin families who have been tending gardens and livestock in the high mountains descend to lower elevations, as do the ibex. Spring is a social time for the Jebelaya, who gather in their mountain gardens as the birds return. The enigmatic Tritrum's grackle show off its chestnut-striped wings, while the Sinai rosefinch once again flaunts his stunning plumage. Hyraxes emerge from rocky crevices, descending to feed on thorny trees. Ramadan, a Jebelaya tribesman, rescued 4 hyraxes from a flash flood. They now form this captive colony in his mountain garden. By most desert standards, the high mountains of the Sinai are exceptionally well watered, receiving 4 to 10 times the precipitation at sea level. Yet, while cycles of flood and drought alternate, Bedouin traditions still indicate an overall climate of desertification. Sheikh Ahmed Mansour, famously known as Hakim Sina, Sinai's medicine man, has dedicated his life to treating his people with traditional healing recipes using the medicinal plants that flourish in the area. He founded the Bedouin Medicine School here in Wadi Tala. He recounts, "Our grandfathers told us that there were no trees here in Wadi Tala. Then the rain returned and the wadi became green again. In the old days, there was so much vegetation on the sides of the wadi to the extent that you could not walk through it. Before, there was a stream of water running on the surface of this wadi. Now we have to dig a well 6 meters into the granite to reach water. Before, this garden was all planted with lentils. My grandfather told me that they loaded 30 to 40 camel caravans of pears, almonds, grapes, dried apricots, figs, and plums, which went to Suez and Cairo. In a good year, snow melt and rainfall will splash through mountain watercourses until June. The Jebelaya delight in the waterfall habitat they call the dripping place, Nagat, around which hangs a profusion of maidenhair ferns. Below the slide, there is typically a pool surrounded by lush growths of rushes, wild fig and willow. Hikers find cooling relief in pools of red granite, which the Jebelaya call Galt. The largest is Al-Galt Al-Azraq at Wadi Tala, a basin of cold water 4 meters deep and 7 meters across. The Karaza, or bead, is an elongated pool. Unlike the Galt, it has no perennial source of replenishment. Perennial water sources include the Tamila, a vein of fresh water which can be accessed by digging into the gravel wadi floor. For centuries, the Jebelaya typically dug their wells in dikes. Dike rock, being more porous than the surrounding ground, acts as a spongy conduit. Although a desert ecosystem, over 529 plant species have been identified in the Sinai's high mountains, 33 of which are endemic. Several of these plant species have attracted international interest. At least 47% of the plant species here have medicinal, aromatic, cosmetic or culinary uses. Local Bedouins use many plants to treat a variety of medical disorders. Sinai's floral wealth has been enriched by its geological location and long-term changes in climate. Plants found here have their origins in several distinct floral regions. Some of these stranded Asiatic shrubs have perished in their original habitats, yet still survive here, windows to environments of the past. Like the notable pistachio shrub, El Bottom, from Asia, growing in the red granite of Shagtla. The Sinai hawthorn, El Zarour, from Europe, and the acacia tree, Sayal, from Africa. The Yasar is believed to have provided the staff with which Moses drew water from the rocks. More than 50 of these relic species still survive in Sinai's mountains. In such isolation, many of these floral remnants have gradually evolved into endemics, amongst them the rarest of Sinai's plants, the Sinai primrose. Another is the endangered Rosa arabica El Wad El Bari, of which only 85 remain in the high mountains. The Rubus sanctus is revered at the monastery as the burning bush of Exodus. Above 1,600 meters, annual precipitation exceeds 80 millimeters a year, enabling high-step vegetation to grow on these black volcanic peaks. Unlike impermeable red granite, which water simply runs off, this volcanic material has broken up into small rocks and soils which absorb and hold moisture. The high altitude, cold, snow and rains are ideal conditions for Central Asiatic alpine plants, such as wormwood, shih, saltwort, hamat, perethrum, mir, and the endemic wickweed, awawa. Varied flora is found on the prevailing red granites, impermeable to moisture, revealing a different set of geographical influences. Plants here grow only where the rocks have cracked. Rainfall fills these hollows, saturating the deep composite soils deposited by winds and water. Uncultivated mountainous areas display a rich diversity of plant species. Many of these fertile soils have already, for centuries, been cultivated by both monks and Bedouins. Most historic and modern orchards are found in these red granite wadis. An array of plants grow in these cracks and basins. Shrubs, including ephedra, the endemic wickweed, hybercum, shai el gabel, the thistle, khashir, lavender cotton, gesum, and in a few moist places, mint. The essential oils which grant these shrubs their fragrance deter insects in much the same way as thorns protect other desert plants. At lower elevations, rainfall is less dependable. At Sheikh Awad's El Khalm Eco Lodge, perennial growth is confined to the wadi bed. These plants, such as tamarisk, tafa, acacia, sayal, caperbush, lasaf, and colocynth, handal, are generally of Saharo-Scindian origin. The Protectorate provides a refuge for the rare and endangered Dorcas gazelle, which naturally inhabits these vegetated wadis. The nocturnal and secretive striped hyena slips through the night, and the largely nocturnal fox can occasionally be spotted at dusk. Immediately after the annual rains, dormant perennials rapidly revive and germinate. Children play with dab spine seeds, placing them on their tongues, causing them to germinate explosively as they come into contact with the water in their saliva. In 300 AD, Christian ascetics began introducing Mediterranean species, such as olive and cypress. This rich diversity of flora is perhaps best described by contemporary author Joseph Hobbs, who writes of the Sinai, "In floristic terms, one walks from Afghanistan's Sahel to the Sahara in the steep 8-kilometer descent from the plains of Al-Raha to Sheikh Awad." The Medicinal Plants Conservation Project was established in 2003. It aims to examine and eliminate the root causes of the loss of floral biodiversity in the Sinai, addressing threats to the conservation and sustainable use of medicinal and aromatic plants. The project focuses on empowering the local Bedouin community to help them use and manage their botanical resources in a sustainable manner. To this end, 12 cultivation sites have been established in the St. Katherine's Protectorate. For example, Farag's Fox Desert Camp is a demonstration site with an educational function, where visitors can learn how the project's various cultivation activities work. The Seed Collection Program registers and stores plant samples, and has established an online herbarium. The community-based natural resource management system ensures that the local Bedouin have access to all decision-making processes concerning the utilization of their medicinal plants, sharing control over project implementation, evaluation, and benefit distribution. The project concentrates on women as the major asset. The Handicraft Program, which assists Bedouin women in creating marketable handicrafts using their traditional methods and designs. High-quality honey is produced, packed and labelled. These products, along with dried and packaged medicinal plants, are sold at an outlet store supported by the project. Sheikh Ahmed Mansour also has a shop selling traditional remedies. The Green School program is increasing awareness amongst teachers, children and their parents of the importance of preserving medicinal plants and their habitats. There is a traditional Bedouin saying, "If you help me to stand, I will walk the rest of the way." It is hoped that through sound conservation efforts and empowerment initiatives, the Bedouin of Sinai will continue to pass on their invaluable traditional knowledge for generations to come.